In today's video, I will show you a 7-day roadmap of how I improved my handwriting quite substantially. So let's get going. Hey everyone, grab a pen and a paper and try out some of the stuff that I'm going to show you. Let's begin right away with day 1, choosing the tools. On day 1, all I needed was a separate notebook for handwriting and a perfect pen. Choosing a pen is a bit like a wizard selecting their wand or a chef choosing their knife. Do not underestimate the value of the right pen and the paper for good handwriting. In my case, I keep certain things in mind, like the ink shouldn't be too greasy, or the writing shouldn't be too thick, and it should dry immediately after writing. I prefer a 0.5 mm roller ball pen if I'm using a pen, and 2B pencils if I'm using a pencil. Okay, with the width of the pen, I prefer a good grip. So maybe you can try out, the slimmer pen and the thicker pen, and it all depends on your grip. But I like this kind of thicker grip. Now you tell me in the comment section which is your favorite pen and why you love it so much. With the notebook, I always look for paper with a matte finish or papers with certain rough elements on it, instead of the shiny and glossy papers. This helps the writing to flow better. So take your time, be selective and very specific about your magical pen and paper, and drop me a comment below telling me which pen and paper you prefer using. Day 2, flowing hands. Actually, we are good at judging our handwriting. We know how the letters should look, but our hands refuse to move that way. So today, I will give my hands a good warm-up since they are not used to writing. On the first 2 pages, I started to draw circles of different sizes to check the flow of my hands. It was awful. Eventually, I started to improve because I used the dot technique. Through the dot technique, I made a dot first and then made a circle around it, referencing it as the center point of the circle. Now the next 2 pages were dedicated to drawing waves. I chose a particular wavelength. Maybe you can choose like the gap between 2 lines. And I started to draw multiple waves. While drawing, I made sure that every wave looked equal. Like this, I made a few more waves of different sizes, like maybe tiny letter-sized waves. This helped me to check and improve the consistency of my hand movement. Now, on the last 2 pages, I made horizontal and vertical straight lines. It was tougher than I thought. So I drew a line with a ruler, or maybe the margin of the paper, and the lines on the paper can be your reference point, and you try to go parallel to it. Basically, this is to check and improve the stability of our hand movements. That was it for the second day. Day 3, pangram. On day 3, I started with an English pangram. Do you know what a pangram is? No, it's not some kind of pancake or snack. It's a sentence with all the letters of the language, at least once. Like an English panagram will have all the 26 letters in a sentence. I chose 2 such fun sentences. The quick brown fox jumps over a lazy dog. Pack my box with 5 dozen liquor jugs. I wrote them on the top of 2 separate pages and repeated them on the entire page. This was to analyze my handwriting and all the places where I needed to improve. Day 4, the spoilers. Every person has certain alphabets which completely ruin their words and sentences. In my case, it was F, R and S. So on day 4, I decided to improve my spoiler letters. Now I'm in love with this font called Comic Sans MS, available on Microsoft Word. It's kind of tidy and it has a nice cute look. So I took the reference of my spoilers from this font. I didn't copy the entire font as I have my unique font called the Chetna print. I just took the reference to create my new spoiler letters. But if you didn't like Comic Sans font, I have 2 equally amazing fonts called Lobster and Pacifico. And if you have some other mesmerizing fonts, let me know in the comment section below. So on the next 3 pages, I just wrote F, R and S again and again. I also tried a different way of writing G and just had some fun experimenting with the letters. Initially, it will take some time to implement the new letters in the words. So try to write slowly to create the habit. I did the same and it was already looking much better. Day 5 for spacing. On day 5, I started working on my spaces and implemented 4 tips. I'm going to share them with you one by one. The first tip I used was to separate each letter in the word like the Comic Sans font or Sego print. This made my letters more visible and clearer. Now I could see how much space each letter was consuming. And as I trained my hands for consistency, making waves, I could easily assign equal spaces to each letter in the words. Between the words, follow the lady finger rule as tip number 2. A space equal to a lady finger. I'm sure you won't need to measure after a few days of practice. Tip number 3 is spaces between the lines. The best way to measure the space is to avoid tangling of letters from the top line to the letters in the bottom line. And the fourth and last tip for spaces is the overall page space. No matter how beautiful you write, if it looks congested on the entire page, then it kind of looks messy. So try keeping equal spaces from all the 4 sides of the page, like how you write drawing margins. Ideally, take about 1.5 centimeters of space on all sides, make